The Oregon Ducks still undisputed. Go into the big house, take over the big house. Final score, Oregon 38, Michigan 17. What can we take away from this one if we're talking about Oregon? Make sure you're subscribed. If you're an Oregon Duck fan, make sure you're dialed in. We appreciate y'all in advance for being locked in. Follow me on the socials, Instagram and on Twitter at JD PicKell. I want to hear from y'all there. Here's, I think, where I arrived at after this game. Oregon has an elite level of horsepower. And if you want to beat Oregon, you have to play at their level of potency. Not many teams have done that. Actually, no teams have done that. Ohio State came close, but ultimately Oregon, again, still undisputed, still unbeaten. And I think when you talk about why they have this level of horsepower, because it wasn't there early on, a massive part of this is Dillon Gabriel, right? Like he is the one that makes it all go. And early on in the year, he's still kind of getting his feet underneath him. He looks like he is still trying to get up to speed within the system of Will Stein's offense. That is no longer the case. Dillon Gabriel has gone from conversational in Will Stein's offense to fluent. He's speaking the language. He knows where to go with the football. He knows where his checkdowns are. He is running this thing to perfection. Okay, the entire system now is flowing through Dillon Gabriel. That's massive, especially with it happening right now in November. So that's one part of it. However, the other part of it is that the quantity of weapons here for Oregon is stupid. Like, I know we talk a lot about the best receiving corps in college football. Oregon, for whatever reason, kind of takes a back seat in that conversation at times. Again, I don't really know why that is. But any given Saturday, you could pick a receiver out of Oregon's lineup and say, yeah, that could be the one that gets you. It could be Evan Stewart. And Evan Stewart, too, he had a one-handed touchdown grab that ended up getting pulled off the board. Just absolutely silly stuff. It could be Tez Johnson, and oftentimes it is Tez Johnson. It could be Trayshawn Holden. It was Trayshawn Holden yesterday, going for darn near $150. Like, it's really a pick-your-poison kind of situation. And the reality is you can't just give a specific amount of attention to one of those guys or double one of those guys, because if you double one guy, well, then the other gets loose. And then we got issues. Again, the horsepower, the quantity of weapons, it creates too much of a to-do list for the defense to account for. And you saw that yesterday. Now, on top of that, going back to Dillon Gabriel, his mobility is just like, I mean, it's like getting extra chicken on your burrito bowl at Chipotle. It's just it's too much to deal with. It's another variable. It's another thing you have to account for. If you want to play man coverage, best of luck to you. Worth noting, Michigan, they tried playing man coverage yesterday, and every time that I saw, at least, they got cooked. They got cooked. And that's a defense now that, say what you want about what's happened so far this year, even without Will Johnson, I think that's a pretty good unit. And Oregon made them look very pedestrian yesterday, to the tune of 294 yards passing for Dillon Gabriel. Now, on top of that, they're not just an aerial attack. They got the real push up front. Like, this is not just a team that's able to scheme around you and get the ball in the perimeter. Like, they legitimately have a physical presence in the trenches. And saying again what we said about the secondary. For Michigan, they got multiple players on the defensive line that are going to have careers in the NFL. And Oregon ran the ball for darn near 5 yards a carry yesterday. And it wasn't just like an outside zone, we're getting around you. It's like, no, we are going north and south. You got to deal with us. May God have mercy on your soul. That was how Oregon operated yesterday. And so it's the thing that I think is impressive, too, about Oregon defensively. We said it going into the game. If you were to be nitpicky around Oregon, you could look at the run defense and say, yeah, I need a little bit more there. Need a little bit more of meeting the challenge, if you will, when it comes to the Ducks. We knew what it was. They met that. Right? Held Michigan, a running the football kind of team, to 105 yards on the ground. That's awesome. That is championship-level football from this Tosh Lupoi defense. So I think as much as I'm impressed by the product of Oregon, I think I'm even more impressed by the approach and the consistency. Oregon, knock on wood now, has played to the level of their roster talent every single game since those first two games. Also, I think it's worth noting here, smart move by Dan Lanning. I'm guessing there was a memo sent out by the powers that be in college football, the script writers, that said, hey, everybody has to have 2 bad games this season. Got to have 2, all right? And Oregon said, great, we'll take our first 2 games and have those be our bad games. Idaho and Boise State. Obviously, I'm joking here, but you hear what I'm saying. Since those first 2 games, Oregon has been a different machine. And we kept saying this. We're waiting for the letdown after Ohio State. Is it Purdue on a Friday night? Is it Illinois? Is it Michigan? It's like, no, I just think this is who Oregon is right now. They continue to trend upward. They continue to play their best football. That is the mark of a mature football team, a well-coached football team, a elite culture. They don't play to the logo. They don't play to the spot. They play to their standard. They play to their internal temperature. And right now, man, they are a force. Okay, I get Michigan's not Michigan of last year, but if Oregon had not brought the juice into the big house, they would have been exposed. And Oregon made light work of yesterday, and I think they are, again, undisputed the best team in college football. Here's the deal. I think they still have their best ball ahead of them, and I can't wait to watch it. So make sure you're dialed in here. Make sure you're subscribed, and we're going to keep this party rolling. We will see y'all next time.